Hey guys, welcome back. Ashley D. Will here, author, teacher, life coach. So today we're talking about a topic that is very important. It's called Entrusted with a Sorrow. Have you been entrusted with a sorrow? Well, the Lord gives us things and situations that are very special in life, and they can take many, many forms. And we are the ones who were given stewardship of these situations that are dear to God's heart. And so today's video, we're going to talk about what it means and what it looks like to be entrusted with something, and especially entrusted with a sorrow or something like that. So the question is, have you been entrusted with something? Have you been entrusted with a sorrow in your life? Have you been entrusted with a grief or a loss that is causing you pain? Have you been entrusted with a challenging situation that you're not sure what to do with? Have you been entrusted with a tragedy, something that has happened that was completely unexpected and has blindsided you? Well, let's look at the definition of entrusted so we can put these in context, okay? So entrusted means to give over something to another for care, protection, or performance. Now, the Lord entrusts the saints with certain things. The Lord entrusts us in this life, while we're in these bodies, with certain situations. He gives things over to us for us to walk through, for us to manage, for us to handle, for us to care for us to maybe protect, or for us to perform. And this doesn't mean like getting up on a stage and performing. It just means that you were given this part of your path in this life to walk through. It would be like on Pilgrim's Progress, maybe when he had to go through that really thin part of the journey where it was, the road got very thin and there were two lions on each side, but they were both chained at the neck and they could come only this far, and they were lunging at him and he had to walk through that. That was part of his journey. Okay, so the Lord entrusts things to us. He gives them over to us, a thing or a situation, and all of these things are from the Lord. They can take many different forms. So the Lord intentionally and purposefully gives over or entrusts special things and situations to us in stewardship. When He's giving a child over to us, or a child with an illness, or a child that's going to die, those type of things are an issue of stewardship, you guys. These things are not random. These things are not by chance, where the Lord wasn't paying attention and something bad happened. These are all purposefully and intentionally part of our paths, the trials and the troubles and the tribulations that we must walk through on that straight and narrow path to glory. This is part of the process and part of the journey for us. So here is a range of different types of special things and situations that the Lord can entrust us with. In other words, the different types of things He can give us stewardship over. There is joy at one end of the spectrum, right? And there is tragedy at the other end of the spectrum. We tend to see this end of the spectrum as good and this end as bad, right? But God doesn't see it that way. He sees it all at the same time, and he doesn't see anything as good or bad. He sees everything as he is working his purposes. Okay? For example, look at the cross. The cross. What must people have been thinking in real time during the crucifixion? Can you even imagine the thoughts that must have been going through their minds? How could God Almighty let his only son be killed? I mean, just think about that simpleton view, because that's what a lot of them had back then. They didn't have the 2020 that we have. So you can imagine all of the thoughts that they were having and the very important questions that they had. But they don't have our 2020 view, do they? So I want to show you that in God's economy, none of these is really either good or bad. They're all part of the package of life. You either get them all or you get none of them. That's how it works. If you're born into this dimension, you will experience all of them, or you don't get to. Okay? So we have joy at one end, and that is seen as a good thing, right? We have pleasure. There can be kind of neutral times, plateaus of boredom in our lives. And then here comes a challenge that we didn't expect, and it's going to be a really long, difficult challenge, and it can be discouraging for us. And then here comes a sorrow, maybe 2 or 3 sorrows in a row. That can be hard. What kind of a loss or grief has the Lord entrusted with you? What kind of a sorrow or grief has he given you stewardship over? Maybe even a tragedy. These happen. They happen all the time. A lot of times we don't hear about them because the pain and the grief for those who are affected by it, they are so overwhelmed that they just kind of withdraw and hide for a while because they have to endure the pain and they have to grieve enough to get to the place where they can function again. But all of these type of situations that happen to us are all stewardship. They're issues of stewardship. And the Lord gives them over to us. He entrusts us with all of these variety of different things and situations. Maybe you have a child that's born. You've been looking forward to having children your whole life. And in the back of your mind, you have imagined a perfectly healthy, strong baby that has no issues. Yet your child is born not only handicapped, but severely handicapped, and the child may not even live to age 2. And to get him to even live to age 2, he'll have to have 4 heart operations. So these type of situations can be overwhelming, and I just want to put them in context for you. We have all experienced some degree of these, some of us more than others, but I want to put it in the context that you are being entrusted with whatever it is. This is an issue of stewardship, okay? God is not angry with you. He's not punishing you. He is entrusting something that is very special to him to you. Okay? It is a privilege to be steward over situations that are dear to God's heart. All of the situations and things that you are entrusted with in this life are purposefully and intentionally entrusted to you by the Lord. And each one is dear to God's heart. Each one is appointed on the straight and narrow road as a trial, a temptation, a suffering, a something that we must walk through. We must walk that valley. We must walk through whatever that situation is. We are appointed to live through that. Okay? 2 scriptures. Ecclesiastes 3 says, there is a time appointed for everything. Everything. There is a time appointed for it. And a season, a particular season for every activity under heaven. So every one of these is purposeful and intentional and appointed according to God's plan for each believer and each family and each heart. Okay? And this is one of my favorite scriptures of all time because it has been a theme in my life. Psalm 34:18. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. Do you have a broken heart? Well, I've had a broken heart most of my life. And the Lord has been very, very close to me because my heart has been broken so deeply and so often, especially before I knew how to guard it. But regardless of whose fault it is or who caused the heart to be broken, it doesn't matter. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted, and He has been very, very close to me for many years. And He also saves those who are crushed in spirit. My spirit was crushed for many years, over and over again, for many different reasons, which I've talked about in some of previous videos, maybe the complex trauma videos. I went into some of that. But the Lord does save those who are crushed in spirit. So there is a huge blessing to have a broken heart. The Lord is close to you, and there is a huge blessing when your spirit is crushed because He saves you, He rescues you, and He lifts you up. So I wanted to just look at this issue of being entrusted with something, for example, a sorrow, and for you to understand that this is a purposeful, intentional process that God is initiating with us, and that it is an issue of stewardship. So don't think that God is upset with you or angry with you. No, He wasn't upset or angry with His one and only Son who endured crucifixion. And He's not upset or angry with any of us as we walk through the things that are appointed for us to walk through in this life. Okay, so I hope that is helpful. Please leave comments if you like, and please like, subscribe, and share so that others can have access to this information. I pray God's blessing over you, and I will see you soon.